Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining tonight's chapter kickoff for 2024. My name is Pam Alio, and I'm proud to serve as chair for for the Bay Area chapter. We'll run through our agenda real quick, but if you would please, and Margot, if you'll put that in the chat for me, put your name, pronouns, the land you reside on, and your favorite hobbies in the chat. For example, I'm Pam Alio. I go by she, her. I live in Danville, California. I'm on Bay Miwok land, and I love to hike and be creative. So if everybody will put that in the chat, introduce yourselves to everybody. So the goals for tonight's meeting, we're going to introduce our 2024 leadership team and talk a little bit about our strategic plan and some of the goals we have laid out. We want to encourage everyone on this call to volunteer, join a team. I think one thing this leadership team has gotten after the past few years of working together is we all really like working together, and you feel like you're really engaging around the climate and doing something. We want to ignite excitement for everybody in this can-do attitude for all of our communities. And we'll walk through all the communities we represent in the Bay Area and get your ideas. There's an opportunity for some breakout sessions, and we'd love to hear from you individually during those breakout sessions. So during our agenda tonight, we're going to do a welcome and land acknowledgement. We're going to talk about Climate Reality Project, a little overview, and then we're going to spend an hour and have you hear from the leadership team and about our different programs and what their goals are for 2024. And then we'll have two breakout sessions, and we'll run through that, and then we'll have a closing. So that's a little bit about the agenda tonight. So during land acknowledgements, and I'm sorry, I have the slide hidden. We really acknowledge the lands that we live on, which includes what I talked about, the Bay Miwok land that I live on, and recognize that others came before us. And when we stand as a chapter, we stand for diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. And the climate justice team will talk about that. And we know we're representing others who can't speak for themselves as well when we're helping to fight for climate. So that's a brief land acknowledgement, and we certainly have training sessions as well on why we do these, why they're important. And I encourage you to look for programs that our chapter has that talks about allyship as well. Alma and her team have done such a great job in leading those efforts for our chapter. This is just a little reminder. This comes from Climate Reality Project in general, and some of the rules for productive communications. If you've gone through climate reality training, these will be very familiar to you. Make space, take space. Speak from your own experience instead of generalizing. Seek to understand by practicing active listening. Embrace productive discomfort. Assume good intentions are coming from everybody. And intent does not negate. And tell me what that next word is, because I have something blocking my screen to stop.
Impact.
Impact, thank you. Disagree without discord and accept that there is no quick fix. We're in this for the long haul, and we have to celebrate those little victories. I see Wei Tai has joined, so Wei Tai is our great leader and founder of our chapter, and always reminds us that we all have to keep fighting the good fight here and realize that any win, anything we do is advancing the cause here. We are one of the chapters of Climate Reality Project, and the mission is to catalyze a global solution to the climate crisis, making urgent action a necessity across every sector of society. And at the Climate Reality Project, this is a global network, so we probably have about 55 or 60,000 trained climate reality leaders, but altogether we represent 3.5 million people, because we are a team of climate reality leaders and climate activists that are working to build a just and sustainable, true net zero future. So that's something that has been added for the Climate Reality Project. And our Climate Reality Project headquarters has really outlined in the last year 4 main targets for goals coming in this year and next year and the foreseeable future. 1 is reducing emissions. 2 is calling out greenwashing. 3 is financing a just transition. And 4 is strengthening international cooperation in finance. And one way our chapter can really help to align is really on reducing emissions. And we'll talk a little bit about our efforts on helping to promote building electrification throughout the Bay Area as well. Margot, can I ask you to read this chapter charter agreement for me, if you wouldn't mind, while I try and figure out how to move my picture that's blocking my screen for you guys.
I can. So our chapter charter agreement is we're a chapter of the Climate Reality Project, and the purpose is to promote and advance Climate Reality's mission and vision within our chapter's community. Chapters are required to conduct all activities in accordance with the law and in alignment with the priorities and values of National Climate Reality Project and with the highest integrity.
Great, thank you. And apologies, Margot is serving as vice chair of our chapter, so she's been instrumental in helping lead our strategic plan and works side by side with me. So thank you for that, Margot. I might have you read another one because I'm having some technical issues on my screen here to be able to move that out on some of these slides that we're reading. So this one is just a quick slide. This was from a picture from the Las Vegas training that we held in 2022 with Mr. Gore there, one of the first in-person trainings after the pandemic. And I'm in there. We have Harriet. We have some other ones, several more of our climate reality leaders from the chapter here. And the WWG is what would Gore do? We always kind of base it in that when we think about our own chapter. So Margot just read the chapter charter agreement. We have to sign that every year, what we represent as a chapter. And we are a 501c3 classification. And we do no activity or language in support or opposed of a political party or candidate. We can support policy. And we actually have in March a national leadership call that's going to go into more details. We'll put that in the newsletter and call out if anybody wants to join that call to learn a little bit more legally about what we can do and can't do in an election year, which is they promise it to be entertaining, even though it's from a legal perspective. Our affiliation, we are Climate Reality Bay Area. We are not Climate Reality Project. We are a division of them, but we represent Climate Reality Bay Area. And as such, we can form our own goals and objectives every year for what we represent for our counties. And as I said, in the end, we always ask, what would Gore do? It's kind of our basis on grounded in fact and with a mission to move climate justice in the Bay Area. Margot, can I ask you to read this, please?
Sure. Our membership is a blended group of trained climate reality leaders, community activists, and concerned citizens banded together to take positive action on climate change and climate justice. Our chapter has over 1,800 chapter members from a wide variety of disciplines, cultures, races, and generations. Grounded in the Climate Reality Project mission of providing broad climate education, striving for climate justice, and mobilizing a grassroots network of advocates taking action, our members join us to make a personal commitment to take local climate action in order to advance meaningful progress toward a safe, thriving, and sustainable future for the Bay Area and the world.
Great, thank you. So we represent, and that's gone up. We actually have over 1,800 chapter members now across 8 counties. You'll see them here: Marin, Sonoma, Napa, Solano, Contra Costa, Alameda, San Francisco, and San Mateo counties. The chapter of Santa Clara is a part of the Silicon Valley chapter. You can join any chapter you want. As those of you who are trained leaders know, you can become a member of the LA chapter to learn. So we have a great benefit of representing with our policy action squads, which you'll hear a little bit more about. And they represent 6, with Sonoma and Napa being, it's Marin and Sonoma together and Napa and Solano counties together. So very important work that is done through our policy actions. So if you click on our website and you can join your policy action squads today, everybody should join their own policy squad so you're doing local action. That's very important. So I am going to ask you again, Margot, if you would read this. I still cannot figure this out technically.
Sure. Our vision is to see the Bay Area and California lead the nation and the world in adopting solutions to climate change and instilling climate justice to build a sustainable, resilient, healthy, and safe and thriving future for all.
Good, thank you. And I just got it moved. So yay, I finally figured that out. Thank you. So we review this every year. January 27th, we had our strategic planning meeting. And in that, we review our mission every year. And frankly, it doesn't change too much because your mission doesn't always change every year. Our mission is to educate about and achieve progress on climate action, climate justice, and climate policy. And we strive to lead the nation and the world in adopting bold and innovative solutions to the climate crisis and to be a strong advocate for climate justice. That might sound like a bold statement, and it is a bold statement, but we are the largest chapter in the nation, if not the world, at 1,800 members. We're a part of the Bay Area, which leads in technology. So we and certainly lead in climate justice as well. So we know the important role we play within Climate Reality Project. So how we'll achieve our mission. This is something we do review every year and our goals. And 1 minute. So we want to build an inclusive climate community with opportunities for connection and engagement. We want to engage, educate, inform, and mobilize people, governments, and organizations. We want to influence the adoption of climate and climate justice policies at all levels. We want to advocate for decarbonizing the built environment and energy infrastructure through electrification of buildings and transportation. We want to educate and advocate for harnessing nature-based climate solutions. You're going to hear a little bit more from one of our leaders on regenerative agriculture. We want to help to influence Bay Area communities around federal, state, and regional climate legislation. And we want to establish efficient onboarding and chapter operations to support current and new members. So that was a quick overview of our chapter and what our goals are for the year. Now I'm going to turn it over and we're going to walk through some of the team and program introductions, beginning with our state. So we have 3 buckets here. I'm going to talk a little bit about policy action, community action, and core engagement, and various teams that are there throughout. I do want to say too, if you have an idea that you think fits within this bucket or outside of this bucket and you want to get it done, sign up. You can be empowered to do so within our chapter, and that happens over and over again. So I just want to encourage you all to think outside the box and listen to our leaders. So I'm going to turn it over now. We're going to walk through the state and county squad programs led by Bonnie Hamilton and Mary Dubé. Bonnie, Mary?
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. And Bonnie is on as well. Bonnie, just a quick check to make sure we can hear you.
Good evening, everyone. So happy to see everyone here tonight.
My name is Mary Dubé, and together with Bonnie Hamilton, I am the co-chair for the local and state policy action team. We're starting here with a quote, and it's just a good reminder. We'll let you read it, but it's very powerful to work within our sphere of influence. And, for those of you familiar with the 4 levels of action, we remind that, a lot of folks tend to focus on sort of level 1, more the individual level, and level 4, which is the federal level. But actually, when we focus on levels 2 and 3, which is the local and friends and family levels, that's where we can often make the most difference. Can you go to the next? And these build a little bit. Okay, looks like they fixed it. Oh, fantastic. So first up, we want to talk about our priorities as a team. And I mentioned earlier that we're calling it local and state policy action quite on purpose as a description of the scope. And so that's what you'll see here. And we're looking this year to support our county squads, and we'll be talking to that here in a bit, as well as a focus on state legislation. And growing our relationships and building relationships with partners such as 350 Bay Area, Sierra Club, other key relationships. And we also intend to support and collaborate with our other fellow team members as well as chapters. Can you go to the next? So starting at the local level, so we have 6 county squads represented. I'm hearing something, but 6 county squads across the Bay Area. And we point out here that the needs are different depending on the county. So there's flexibility quite on purpose, and they tend to act independently, just as you would expect, because issues vary from county to county. Something that is important, say in Solano County, which is a kind of a hotbed of activity right now, right, Bonnie, might be different than, say, what's happening in San Francisco or Alameda. We have here examples of some common agenda platforms. Again, they tend to vary depending on the geography and what's happening in that area. But building electrification, as an example, is a pretty common one. We are encouraging volunteers to follow their passion. You don't have to stick just with what is, on the docket for that particular county's agenda. As an example, in San Francisco a while back, some of our members got pretty passionate about the car-free JFK drive in Golden Gate Park, and so we supported that, as a county squad. You go to the next. So on to state advocacy. So we've opened up the scope here to include advocacy opportunities, not just in legislation, but also regulatory issues and ballot initiatives. And our intent is to engage members by sharing some of the throughout the year advocacy opportunities. So this will come primarily in the form of specific actions that you can take. Further, we intend to meet with state legislators, together with our partner communities. Anything to add here, Bonnie?
No, I think you're doing a great job, Mary. But more people will hear more as we will be in both breakouts, and we can answer any questions at that time as well.
Perfect. Go to the next. All right. And so here we've listed the county squad meetings. And I want to emphasize here that this is our leading call to action. As we mentioned, we'll be sharing state level actions that can be taken and communicating that out. But this is really where the volunteer participation comes in, and the opportunity to be part of a group, an ongoing activity. And I want to just do a quick check to see if we have any of our county squad leaders on.
I don't think so. I don't see anyone on the participant list, but I can talk a little bit about Solano County. And Mary, you can chime in on San Francisco.
Absolutely.
And just so you know, Kate Carlson is waving her hand at you.
Oh, terrific. I thought there might be one on.
Oh, I apologize. Why don't we let Kate take a minute to tell us what her squad is up to.
Hi, everybody. I can never find the hand reaction thing, so my hand works really well. So good old school. Hi, I'm Kate Carlson. I actually am in Alameda, but I'm in the Alameda County squad. And currently we're working on the electrification of our homes and the IRA, and we're gearing up to go and do presentations specifically to HOAs because we thought that would be a low-hanging fruit. And then one of our other team members is going to try to go after educating real estate agents. Anyway, so that's what we're working on. And so for Earth Day, we're going to be out there tabling, and we'd love to have people come out and join us. Alameda has an event on the 20th on the old base. And it's really fun, and it's really crowded, and it's not Earth Day, it's something else, but we're still going to be doing what we do. And we're still working on other locations. That's what we're doing. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Kate. Over to you, Bonnie.
Great. Yeah, I just want to say that so we're doing a number of things in Solano County where there's so much going on, but we have been involved in bringing, say, community choice energy to our different cities. We were successful in some cities, but other cities we're still working on. So we're a little bit behind the curve with the rest of the Bay Area, which most places have, except Contra Costa. I don't think they have a wide full penetration of a community choice energy, but I think they are also working on it to bring that to all the cities. We are working, we have active gas and oil drilling in our county, and there are people applying for more drilling and exploration and extraction of fossil fuel in our marsh area and on our agricultural land. We also have a number of idle wells that are not fully remediated, so they continue to bring methane into the environment. So we were going to work on that in partnership with other groups, other statewide groups that are working on those issues. There's also a proposal to pipe concentrated toxic carbon and inject it into our wetlands here in Solano County. It's at the EPA right now, an application at the EPA. So we're working on that to oppose that kind of project. Carbon pipelines pose grave risk to wildlife as well as human life if they are to rupture. So this is a real issue for us. We also have the threat of California Forever, a 400,000 person city that is being proposed for southern Solano County, again on ag land, which would pose a huge carbon footprint, as well as take a lot of resources from other folks in the county, such as water. And I think that's about it. But we have a lot going on here in Solano. It keeps us very, very busy, but we can use as much help as we can get for sure. Mary, how about in San Francisco?
Yeah, and so hoping we have at least a few people on from San Francisco. I wanted to let you know that we are going to be doing a kickoff meeting, and it's going to be in March, and dates there. Please reach out. We intend to set the agenda for the year, talk that through, and we are going to be setting up regular meetings. So we'll show up on this list just like the others with a regular cadence. So we'd love to get some support and looking for additional volunteers out there to help stand this up. Please see me, or as you see on the screen here, Paul Wormer. All right, next, I think is our last, just our contact information. Feel free to reach out to us here. I think that's all we had, right, Bonnie?
Yeah, appreciate
Thanks,
it.
everybody.
Hey,
We'll see you in the breakouts.
yeah, thank you so much, Bonnie and Mary. This is the important work that will help us move our local and state along. So next we have Perry Kaler, who's going to speak a little bit about regenerative agriculture and the team opportunities there.
Hi, everybody. Glad you could be here tonight. I am really excited to have just kicked off our regenerative agriculture team. It's a nascent team, just begun in January. And it's a follow-on to a Chicago chapter group that went national and now has the Climate Reality Regenerative Agriculture Coalition that is working primarily to lobby for conservation funding and scaling regenerative agriculture through the U.S. Farm Bill. So we had our initial meeting of the Climate Reality Bay Area RA team last month. We're having another meeting on Friday. We have, I think, about 7 people who are really engaged and excited about getting started. So if anyone is interested in joining or learning more, please contact me at perrykaler@gmail.com. I'll just go over what we're working on primarily right now. First of all, we are helping with Farm Bill policy and preserving $20 billion in funding that was set aside in the Inflation Reduction Act for conservation programs that farmers badly need. These programs are highly oversubscribed. We are also engaging, as you may know, Anna Eshoo is retiring, opening up a congressional seat. So in the 16th district, we have written letters to the congressional candidates to elevate agriculture as a primary impact on climate change, as well as a solution, depending on what kind of agriculture we do. And I've already had a reach back from one of the candidates, which is really exciting. We're also working with the National RA Coalition to gather stories from farmers with a letter writing campaign to farmers, because Congress really doesn't want to hear from environmental groups so much anymore. So that's a big project, and we could really use some help with that. We will be doing a presentation on regenerative agriculture to just educate people about what it is, what it can do, vis-a-vis climate change, as well as just other powerful changes it can make to our food system, for example. And then we may or may not get involved with doing an Everyday Climate Champions podcast. Delia and I have had discussions about a few tangential issues, but not primarily RA. And then finally, we're looking at doing a farm tour somewhere in the Bay Area that will be accessible to everyone as an event. So any questions about that? Well, we'll be in the breakout room. I will be in the breakout room. I don't know who will be there with me to talk about this further. Thank you.
Thank you, Perry. And we're excited to move this along this year. This is great. So next up will be climate justice. We're going to move on to community action teams and climate justice, Alma and Siri.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Alma Sungibek Peksungi. I'm one of the 2 climate justice co-chairs of the chapter with Siri Louis, who's also here. The climate justice team works on strengthening the chapter's work on outcomes to achieve climate justice. And the team meets monthly to discuss various business, and we have 3 big priorities that have been consistent priorities for the last 3-4 years that we've had a climate justice team. By climate justice, we're talking about the intersection of climate work with racial justice and equity. So our 3 main priorities that continue in 2024, the first one is a very robust Indigenous Voices project. We've had a lot of interest in this project, and when we post these programs, we get a lot of hits when we post them on social media and on our YouTube channel. Last year in 2023, we had 3 sets of Indigenous speakers from Alaska, from Marin, and from Calgary in Alberta, and talking about various projects that they're working on and how it's related to the work we're doing as climate activists. We basically asked them to talk about what they think we should know, because there's a lot we have to learn, and there's a lot that we weren't taught about Indigenous issues and Indigenous peoples, of which there are many all across the continent. We did also our first YouTube premiere as a chapter with our Indigenous Voices Speakers project, and the first 4 of those speakers, we actually reposted a shorter version of their programs and then launched it on November 1st, which was the beginning of Native American Heritage Month. So you can actually find that on our YouTube channel if you want to get a sense of what our Indigenous Voices speaker series looks like. And we are always looking for interested people that have experience, people that don't have experience. It's a really fun and connected way to build relationships with each other and with various Indigenous people and groups across the continent. We've learned a ton even in our short period of time. In 2024, we already have an event that is in the works for the beginning of Earth Month. So we plan to do an Earth Month kickoff on April 1st, Monday, and it's going to be Charlie Toledo from the Susquehanna Intertribal Council, who will talk about cultural burning and climate resilience in Napa and beyond. It's in the process of getting posted probably sometime this week. So keep your eye out for that. It will be a Zoom program. And we also have an monthly Indigenous Voices reading group and listening circle. We started this when we started our Indigenous Voices project because those of us who are not Indigenous to this continent, we realized that we had a lot of learning to do about what Indigenous people were saying around issues that related to the work that we were doing as climate activists. CIRI convenes that group once a month on the fourth or last Thursday of the month at 5:30, and it's a Zoom group. So it's a drop-in whenever you're interested, and we tend to post articles, reading videos that are related to events that we're going to be having. So for instance, in February and March, we'll be posting and discussing articles and stories related to cultural burning and what Charlie Toledo is going to be talking about for our chapter. So our second big priority is work and coalition work with local environmental justice groups. And we have two that are ongoing now. One is pretty longstanding. It's the San Francisco Bay Shoreline Contamination Cleanup Coalition. It's a really long name. I'm going to drop in the chat the URL for the actual coalition. And this is actually a coalition that Climate Reality Bay Area chapter are one of the co-founders and co-members, like original members of. It's a group of very longstanding environmental justice organizations that work mostly in communities of color and shoreline communities, poor and working class communities that are most affected by the climate crisis and environmental contamination. So this includes communities in San Francisco, Bayview, Hunters Point, West Oakland, Marin City, Richmond, and it's a great place to build relationships, but also like learn about the ongoing work that's been going on and then figure out how we as a climate organization made up of volunteers can bolster any work that's going on. So for instance, it became clear around the Bayview Hunters Point issue that it might be useful with the work we're doing in federal policy action that we could maybe advocate with members of Congress who are actually in charge of the Navy. So that particular effort was because the Navy was in charge of the cleanup in Bayview Hunters Point. So that's an example of building relationships and supporting environmental justice work. And the newer coalition we're working on this year is their Youth versus Apocalypse. Youth versus Apocalypse is an East Bay-based youth-led organization that consists of very heavily of BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color teenagers. And they are planning an Earth Day action right the Friday before Earth Day, which is Friday the 19th. And it's going to be probably midday in San Francisco. If you are interested in being part of our team to figure out what our role could be in supporting them and also participating in this, let me know. And then the last thing I want to mention is we have a pretty robust DEIJ training program. And this is mostly organized and facilitated by Mary Ruth Gross and me. Mary Ruth is the membership chair. And last year we didn't do one last year, but in 2022, we did a program, for instance, U.S. allies to Africans and other non-USers in the climate movement. And it was a Zoom program where we invited 3 people from different countries in Africa to talk about how the climate crisis was affecting them, and then to give us an idea as USers how we could actually be good allies to them. And a lot of it was actually just listening to their stories and getting a real picture of what they're facing to help us stay focused in our climate work and not lose connection with kind of how we're connected to the global movement and the climate crisis. And we have planned in May a program, I'm not exactly sure the name, but it's going to be something like voter engagement and counteracting voter disengagement across diverse communities. So we will be attending that March training with headquarters to make sure that we don't violate our 501c3 status, but we are looking at the second Saturday in May. So just to give you an idea, we're a volunteer organization as a chapter. So if you have any other ideas relating to climate justice, we want to know about it. We'd love to connect with you. We have an open meeting the first Thursday of every month. It's posted on our website, and we will be in the rooms as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Alma and Siri, for your leadership in this area. It's above anything else that we have for Climate Reality Project. So thank you for helping to lead this. Next is building electrification outreach, which is a form of what we're doing for our presentations and our climate moment next steps. So Margot and Audrey.
Hello, and I want to remind or say again, thank you so much for being here tonight and learning about our chapter here in the Bay Area. Audrey couldn't make it here tonight, but she and I work hand in hand on this project. Just a tiny bit of background. Climate Reality Project, when it was founded in, I believe, 2005, was largely an educational organization. Back then, Al Gore wanted to get the message out about climate change. And since then, the movement has grown. And very specifically, our climate moment is a national effort to continue to spread awareness, but very specifically about the benefits of electrification and the benefits of the Inflation Reduction Act. I'm sure you all know that the Inflation Reduction Act is the biggest piece of legislation, climate legislation that has ever been passed. And a lot of the money is available for individuals and households. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know about it. So what we're doing is trying to get the word out, not only about the benefits coming from the federal level, but also, especially in the Bay Area here, we have those CCAs, the community choice aggregates that Bonnie mentioned, for example, Peninsula Clean Energy. There are all sorts of financial incentives, rebates, available to us as Bay Area residents to electrify our homes, to improve the energy efficiency in our homes, to buy electric vehicles, to put solar panels, et cetera, et cetera. So our goal is to work with our county squads. You heard Mary Dubé mention that the county squads are working on this kind of awareness. Kate Carlson mentioned it. And so the focus for Audrey and I is just to make sure that we are there as a resource, to make sure that as our county squads go out and let people know about this, that we have a consistent message that is consistent not only for the Bay Area, but also from the national level. So our climate moment is the national name of our building electrification outreach. If you'd like to be involved, ocm.crba@gmail.com. On the right there, you see there's a pledge that you can find on the Climate Reality Project's website. And if you sign that pledge to electrify, you will be getting resources from the national headquarters about steps that you can take. So I'm looking forward to talking to some of you, hopefully in the breakout rooms. And again, thanks for being here.
Great, thank you so much. Great. So business engagement is an area where, as our chapter goes, Mary Dubé, who spoke earlier, she was one of the initial ones to lead our business engagement a few years ago. And then last year we didn't have anybody last year, and we still have it open. We've kept it open as a chapter because there is such great opportunity to engage businesses within the Bay Area and however you want to focus that. So certainly we involve businesses when we can. I know Margot and some others have given presentations on the IRA. So we want to put that out there because I'm sure many of you on this call might think how you could help our chapter, if it's that way or some other way. But we can kind of further work on how you want to define that area of for community action is important. Next, we have youth and young adult. We have Alice Sung, who's going to talk a little bit about how this program was initially formed and how we're looking at to evolve it this year as well. Alice?
Yes, thanks everyone. Thanks for being here tonight to listen to this. The original name of the program was the YCAT, which stood for Youth Climate Action Team. And we started out in 2020 with a group of incredibly passionate high schoolers that came out of the climate reality training. It was the first global training online in which scores of youth, because remember, schools had closed down, right? Actually attended. So that was a great a way for them to get learning about climate change and how they could get involved. Our programs have varied depending on the leadership of the co-chairs, the youth leaders themselves. And so we've had various programs that have run the gamut from supported green schools movement and greening of their own local high schools. We've had programs that were general education on climate change. We've had interest in learning more about policy and advocacy. So our youth leaders actually went out and participated with Margot and Audrey, for example, in our climate moment, and actually participated in speaking to some of our local legislators. So there's a great spectrum of learning and activities and climate action that youth can lead themselves. What we're looking for, I think, this year, and we've gone somewhat dormant in these last few sessions, because there has been a turnover with co-chairs, and when student leaders graduate, they tend to actually go off in college, and then their workload is so strong and engaging that they actually then drop off. So our challenge for you tonight is to actually think of other youth or young adults, or if there are any youth or young adults listening themselves. I'd love to talk with you in some of the breakout rooms. We'd love to actually see if we can do and revive what we've done all along, which is provide a safe space to cultivate youth leadership and to support you in initiatives that are youth-led. So we're not here to actually invent a program and have you run it. We actually want to provide the supportive space to actually engage you and support youth and young adult leadership themselves. So really, it's an open door and an open invitation to come and make this what you want to make out of it. And the initiatives that, as I can say, have run anywhere from educational program all the way through direct policy and advocacy into other actions. And to give you an example of some things that have been brought up in our strategic planning, one of the thoughts was that we could then build on the engagement of local partners, because there are many, many local youth activist groups like Youth versus Apocalypse that is working very closely with climate justice. And there are other groups as well that we could tap into, and very many local schools have internal green teams at their high schools. And if we can tap into some of these other groups, there could be a whole other realm of support in partnering with the youth activists that are already organized amongst themselves in their own communities. So that's a whole other possibility of programming. And another initiative that we could still launch again, and I'm looking for you youth educators out there. So if there's teachers, retired teachers, other educators, there's a huge movement right now in K-12 climate change science curriculum and environmental justice curriculum. So I see a huge potential for another program or initiative, if there is that interest, to go towards looking to partner with local community and climate justice advocates that are engaged with youth now, and further give support to that, and look to maybe bring panels together to talk about what I think is really, really top of mind for many, many of our youth today, which is the climate change science and action. What can they do now? And how can we help bridge their educational system from K-12 and matriculation and coming out into the colleges, to actually think about how we can support them in locating and identifying green careers and careers that are solutions for the climate crisis. So look to see you all in the breakout rooms. I will put my email in the chat, and you can feel free to reach out to me later if you have any questions. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Alice. And I think, just to reiterate, these programs are here, and it's based on the volunteers we have and what initiatives they want to take forward, and if they can create a lasting one, right? We had a podcast that started, and it took a while. It takes a while to get something going. and something that became carried forward. Alice mentioned that, we have graduating seniors. So how can they take their efforts going into college, and how can they create something that can at least build some structure for new folks coming in high school? So in these programs, when we talk about youth and young adult leadership, we're talking about age 14 to about 28 or 30 with young adults. And certainly there's a difference in those two groups, but so a great opportunity there. So next we're going to move into our core engagement teams, and we'll lead it off with Alacoca for communications.
Hello. All right, great. Hi, everyone. As you could probably see, there's a lot to talk about regarding our chapter. And as communications chair, it is my job and everyone else on our team to figure out creative ways to share that with our community, our chapter, from events to personal stories or experiences to even other climate activists, and other opportunities that may be connected to our chapter and or partnering organizations. So it's not just me on this team. We do have 5 different teams. First, we have our website team led by Tammy, our podcast team led by Dahlia, our writers team led by Keith, and this is a new team that we just established as of January. And then we have our social media team. We currently do not have a lead at this time. We had someone that needed to step down for personal reasons, but this could be you if you're interested. Also, newsletter lead. I have always been the newsletter editor, always meaning 3 years ago, but this could be you as well. But basically with CRBA Communications, we try to basically paint a picture for everyone that's not directly involved. As you can see, we're all in different parts of climate and climate activism. So all I ask and all we need for this team is if you're interested in climate, you're interested in media, web design, writing, podcasts, videos, anything relating to social media and or any type of media, we would love to have you. Even if you have no experience, we can teach you. This is a very independent team, meaning that we all work independently, but we always bring our creative ideas. For example, we had a new volunteer come in and say, "Hey, I want to create a podcast." We're like, "Great. What do you need? What are the tools? Let's figure this out." And so 2 years later, Dahlia has hosted our podcast team, which is called Everyday Climate Champions. And we now have 16 episodes published, 1,000 plus downloads on all podcast platforms. And so that's one of our main success stories. You could also say, "Hey, I want to plan an event." We're not an events team, but if this is something that you're interested in, then we can do it. For example, we have the Bay Area Cleanup that happens monthly. We also have our social media. We needed to do a new design to make sure that things were, I guess, aligned in different colors and schemes. And so that's what our social media team did. They actually connected, created themes, and also reached out to other people to get more ideas as well. And basically, I'm just very proud of this team in general, but our team has grown over the years. So in 2020, there was only one member of the communications team. And she then passed it on to 3 members of the communications team, myself, Pam, who is now the chair, and then our website lead, Tammy. 2022, now we moved to 7 members, 12 members of the communications team. Now 2023, we went up to 17 people. Now 2024, we're back down to 14 members. And so we are trying to basically create an easy way that we can contribute, but also be able to cover every single level of our chapter, which requires people and volunteers like yourselves. We really want to invite you to come to our team, and I'll be at the breakout, and I'll leave my email down below. But if I have more time, I want to explain each team and what they do. So our website team basically updates the website, creates new ways that we can engage with those who come to our website. I think the interesting part about this is, I forgot to mention, as we are the largest chapter nationally and internationally, we've been able to have the highest engagement nationally and internationally. We have all the social media platforms. We have posts regularly. And that means we have made the most engagement and the highest statistics. So if you're also interested in in building your career in media, this is the place to do it. We would always love to hear your thoughts. What else? I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. And I'm all about efficiency. We don't want you to work more than you need to. And our only request is 1 hour a month on whatever task that you have committed to. And of course, that's of your preference. We don't pressure. 2 1 hour monthly meeting, because we have to meet to check in on things. And that's it. If you can make those 2, then we would love to have you. I will put my email in the chat. And if you have any questions, please let us know. I already went over the podcast. We have several episodes, producers, writers, interviewers. We have our writers team. And basically, this is our newest team where we're trying to capture a more personal perspective of the chapter. For example, like I said, different personal experiences, maybe, installing using electrification, the IRA Reduction Act within your homes. We've posted about that. And even what's your idea of a climate activist today? How are you contributing? And then we also have a social media team. We have Instagram, Twitter, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Threads. I believe we've covered all of them, but we have not started TikTok. That is another platform we could look at. Our newsletter, we send out email blasts and monthly newsletters. And so that's where we gather all the announcements regarding the teams that you just heard of. We try to make it as simple and as beautiful as possible. So if you're interested in getting a little creative and like writing, please email me and I'll put my email in the chat. Once again, I probably said that 3 times, but I really want to hear from you and look forward to talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Alacoca. You can join her in the breakout. And this Alacoca's done a great job kind of helping to build this infrastructure. So it's not too much on one person. And just a bit about our newsletter, right? We have over 1,300, or is it 1,400? Or is it 1,500 now on our newsletter? I'm not even sure what it is, but
15, yeah.
15? 1,500 people subscribe to our newsletter, and we probably have close to 50% opening those. Those are unheard of. The opportunity, and I think the expansion of the level of communication channels we had was great in 2020 when we were all closed down. We have a way to spread our story, and we've been a model for other chapters. So it's a great way. You want to write a story, and they have a great, simple way to help bring your subject, and then we have editors that can help publish it. So Alacoca has done just such a great job with this whole team. I do want to shout out to Tammy Chung. If you guys check out our website, it was a heavy lift last year. She totally redid our website, so it's easier to update. We had to upgrade, and it's a beautiful website. So that's another kudos to her. It was a heavy lift. So thank you so much. I am going to speak to our financial management team, which is led by Harriet Harvey Horn. Harriet was our chair for 2 years, along with Bonnie Hamilton. And we are 100% funded by personal donations. We can't accept corporate sponsorships, grants, or other large funding sources. All of our funds are held at the corporate level, and we get access to them, but they're earmarked for our chapter. But we have no way to accept grants. So what we're looking for is, if you're handy with spreadsheets, you want to help on reporting, budgeting, financial planning, managing disbursements. We tend to pay back for any events we have. We started doing in-person events, which is very exciting. That obviously will entail more on the disbursements and whatnot for that. If you have experience in fundraising, we need leadership in this area. So last year, Harriet put together a 30 for 30 campaign asking for $30, and we had, I think, a $1,500 goal, and we did meet that. So things like that is something that we need leadership in that area for as well. And if you're too busy to volunteer, you can make a tax-deductible donation. Click on the green donate button at the top of our homepage and contribute what you can. Those dollars go towards our tabling activities that we have at various events, as well as supporting our back-end efforts for our website and other social media channels and technology that we invest in. We operate very lean and mean, though. So, and Harriet's done a great job helping to lead this for us the last year and going on for this next year. So with that, is there somebody from events or event programming that wants to speak a little bit about their team? Kevin, do you want to share a little bit about what you guys do from an event logistics standpoint? And Kevin's been running the meeting for us ever so efficiently this time. So thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, stick around here with me, Pam. We can talk about how events is super important. All these other people are doing policy things and financial things. I mean, that's okay. And in all seriousness, if you are an expert at running events, being parts of events, great. We need more of you. If you are someone who wants to learn about events and running events, great. We are welcoming to all and would love to have you on board. The events run everything from this kind of humble Zoom to grand events in person. So don't think it's anything but fun. And I'll be around to answer questions. Pam, is there anything else to say?
The YouTube editing, because that's a big lift as well, Kevin. So if you want to talk about that, because we definitely make our events live on and on and on.
Right, that is a good point. The long tail of events is something we really are committed to. So when we do an event, we look for very professional, good, and sometimes novel ways to make them live on or be combined with other events like Alma was talking about for climate justice and Indigenous voices. And gosh, we can always use people who want to be part of that process, whether it's editing or lending some other hand to post-production. It is something we are proud of.
Great.
And Pam, can I make a statement about this? This is Bonnie Hamilton.
Let's bring you aboard here. Let's just put you right up here.
Yeah, put me right up there, Kevin. I just wanted to say, and if members have an idea about an event or have some feedback about what they'd like to see happen at the chapter, that we would be really open to any suggestions or requests in that regard.
So, thank you, Bonnie. And I'm opening up to Brenna. I don't know if you've met Brenna, Bonnie, but Brenna is our new event programming planner. Brenna, are you on? So we actually have somebody who is welcome to take your ideas. But Brenna,
kick me off, Kevin, and put Brenna on.
I got to find her. Hold on a second. Brenna, what a great name. Stand by. You're coming on board. Yay.
Yeah, that's essentially, I'm new in this position and working on scheduling speakers throughout the year. So if you have an idea or if you're interested in doing a presentation or if you know someone, then I hope you'll reach out because I love the idea of finding presentations in-house and, working through our connections.
Great. Awesome. I know as policy action folks, we have a couple of ideas up our sleeves already. So
okay, we better let's hide Bonnie right now and make sure she goes off to the quiet part of the screen.
So I'm thrilled that Brenna has stepped up because this is something there's a lot of ideas out there and Brenna's willing to take them and make them be a reality. She's working together with Perry to begin this regenerative agriculture one for March. April, we're going to walk through a little bit about some of our plans for Earth Day. So then we're looking at May and on, and there's a lot that we can learn. We've had great speakers in the past, from authors to Indigenous voices speakers, and there's so much that we can do. And again, everything we do lives on through our YouTube. And we push it out through social media. So we have a great opportunity, and please, we'll on our website, you can put it into Climate Reality Bay Area at gmail.com with any ideas as well. But we'll get them in a room and you can meet them individually and talk with them about your ideas as well. We could capture them today. So last, and I'm not sure if Mary Ruth is here. Is Mary Ruth on for member? I don't know if Mary Ruth is on tonight. Kevin, do you know?
I don't see her name in the list.
Yeah, I didn't see
She is
her.
not, last minute, she was not able to make it tonight.
Okay. Okay, and Mary Ruth plays an important role. She actually is a big part of the 350 org and does a lot around state policy as well. But we're so grateful to Mary Ruth, who helps to drive our database of names and do new member welcome and engagement. And that is something, the outreach to all of you on the phone, we try to make an individual outreach to see how you want to participate in a chapter. I think what you see is we help to empower people with their ideas. So Mary Ruth is that first person. If that's something of interest to you, you can join the general Q&A and we can talk about that. But it certainly is a great way to pull members in. So we are running early, which is great, and I'm happy about that. I want to thank all of the leadership for bringing their stories to life for everybody. And now our next part is really looking at breakouts by teams. So we're going to put all of those policy action teams together so you can just kind of meet real quickly. So hopefully you learned a lot about our chapter tonight. Here's what more ways to learn and to reach out. Our email addresses, you can take a picture of this, but join our, go to our website. All this information's up there. We have a private Facebook page that you can join with just around 800 members where you can share whatever you're doing. Instagram, LinkedIn, that's a great way to meet people and help to promote on businesses. Our great YouTube channel with all of our wonderful events from past events too, where you can watch and learn a lot about all sorts of different subjects from climate restoration to building electrification, and our podcast. So please do that. You can download the Climate Action Now app, which is an app developed by a climate reality leader that helps you take 5 actions a day. It actually has local and state legislation in there that will allow you to take actions, and then so many actions, and then you plant a tree, which is kind of cool. And that's a great act as well. So in closing, we haven't changed since last year. So really what we want is we're the voice as climate reality, and we want to inspire others to act at home, work, or school, in your communities through local, state, and federal legislation, always with passion and conviction, knowledge and fact, compassion and understanding, a sense of urgency, solutions and creativity, and always hope. And let's get out there and be inconvenient to make a difference for the world. This is a list of our upcoming events. They're on our website. A lot of these were talked about. The event on April 1st, Alma talked about. So please check it out, join the teams and get involved. We're a great group. We'd love to have more and make a difference. What we're doing for Earth Day, these are some of the events we're doing April 13th to April 19th and all the way to April 28th. And we'll be doing tabling events. Happy to have more volunteers join us at those events, get the word about our chapter, how to get involved, and building electrification and everything going on there. So go out there and get involved. So thank you so much. And we look forward to having you join our chapter and get involved.